All right, we are officially live. What did you guys think of that very epic intro? Made it this morning.
Very
I
based.
think it's pretty cool personally. And
I didn't watch the entire thing this morning. I watched like 10 seconds of it, and then I had
Yeah.
to actually do schoolwork. So
Yeah, I
No,
got
it
you.
was.
it's
It
a
was good.
very base video. I can
Yeah,
tell
thank
you
you,
that.
thank
I liked the part with the Great Lakes ball carrier. That was cool.
Yeah, I knew you would like that. I threw it in there. You know,
I know which
I thought it was
specific
pretty
ship that is,
fitting.
but I'm not gonna bore. I'm not gonna bore people with that. So
Yeah, I
I
know.
like
I
the
don't know. So,
close-up of
welcome
the.
everyone to episode 16 of this show. As I say, pretty much every episode, it's a good thing we're not sponsored by anyone and we're just doing this independently because otherwise we probably would not be on episode 16. We have a great show for you tonight. We'll probably give like a minute. We're just going to talk about anything and everything, go off on a tangent for a minute or two as people pour in, and then we'll get into the topics of the evening, which we have three. One of which is going to be pretty obvious. What we're going to be talking about it is after all the title of the stream, and that is that the banks and the banking system in the United States of America seems to be struggling. So we'll wait a couple seconds until people pour in. But I want to introduce our co-hosts tonight. We have North Star, who is a regular at this point. He's the official co-host, and we also have Old Line State Politics, who is one of, if not the greatest election YouTubers out there. He's going to be joining us for this evening and hopefully on some more episodes. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Well, thank you, Buckeye, for having me on. It's an honor to be on your show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad to be here as always. I'm the real governor of Minnesota, of course. Everybody knows this.
True.
Everyone knows I'm just a very base conservative Marylander.
Absolutely. So let's get into the first topic of the day, which is obviously the bank system, Silicon Valley Bank. For those of you who, I don't know, I would assume you all kind of know. Oh, it kind of looks interesting with the background. I don't know if I like that, but anywho, yeah, we're getting professional. So Silicon Valley Bank, it was essentially a startup bank in San Diego. And essentially what it is they would fund, like most banks, it's kind of like a venture capital thing. They would fund tech startups, things like that. And they have failed miserably. Like in the course of just a couple of days, their stocks fell, their financial gains fell, basically everything fell apart. And there were actually lines to get into their banks because people wanted to withdraw their money because no one knew how bad things really were until all of a sudden their stock and just collapsed. And this is a pretty big deal at Silicon Valley Bank. I believe it was at least the 15th or 16th largest bank in the United States. And it is an even bigger bank when you look at just the tech industry. Obviously, the tech industry is a pretty important industry. It's been struggling recently, at least for a little bit, but after it had a pretty big boom. And so could this be a sign of future things to come? Like just this one bank collapsing probably isn't that big of a deal. But if you look back at the 2008 recession, the Great Depression even, it all started with a pretty big and important bank, stock falling, and then people trying to get their money out before it was too late. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. And my co-hosts want to jump in here. I feel like I'm talking a lot.
I mean, this is a warning sign. I mean, if you remember back in the weeks leading into the midterms and after, we were hearing. I remember there were a couple of headlines in the news about layoffs coming not only everywhere. Like I remember Carvana had a bunch of layoffs from their dealerships. I remember Republic Steel out of Gary, Indiana actually had some layoffs too. And then the tech industry, Facebook or Meta, as I should say, and Google and Apple, all the tech companies had huge layoffs at the start of winter. And then there was even more layoffs a couple weeks ago. And then this happened. I mean, we're seeing a very similar pattern to what went down in the great financial crisis. So that's what I have to say. I mean, we're seeing parallels to 2008. We clearly didn't learn our lesson, because if this continues, we're hearing about things like Wells Fargo allegedly having issues now. So, which is not good because that's one of the biggest banks in the Rust Belt, I believe.
Yeah.
So,
I saw that their stock collapsed yesterday.
I know. I do the stock market game because I'm practicing for real investing. Haha, I know, nerd, but I had to I lost over $200 in 10 minutes because they collapsed.
In real money or in like the game?
Fake money, but
Okay, okay. I was
I'm
gonna
glad it
say.
wasn't real money.
Well, if I like to add, Dow Jones, one of the main stocks in the stock market, has seen, I think, 3 consecutive days where they've lost. I think it was yesterday they lost 500 points in the stock market. If you consider how many people invest in that stock, if you look at that, that's a very significant loss for many people, and especially what Dow Jones covers as a stock in whole. So if you look at not just Dow Jones in general, but many other stocks with other companies as well, we are seeing basically a repeat, I should say, a start of the repeat of the 2008 crisis. The housing market, we started saying this back in 2021 when the Biden administration came in with the housing market, how houses went up, even car prices went up tremendously. Now we're looking at the stock market and banks. And every time the banking system falls in a country, it is bound to happen. I should say it's bound that the country starts hitting major recessions, and I should say the economic fall of that country is bound to happen in the near future. So this actually should be very concerning for many people, just not just because it's one bank, but that this will cause a chain reaction between many other banking systems. If you're saying Wells Fargo, which is a very big I should say laundering bank that they transfer money from other banks to people. If we're seeing that their stock is going down and that they're losing money, that's an obvious sign that there is some economic decline happening in the United States, and which definitely needs to be addressed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting that you mentioned you North Star with that you lost $200. Obviously, it's fake money, but still, there are many. I think the vast majority of Americans, I would assume, at least have some money in the stock market, and it's just your everyday working class people that just put a few $100s in the stock market, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I'm not big on stock, so I admittedly don't know a whole lot. What the average person puts in, but that's besides the point. Your average person probably puts at least some of their money into the stock market to, at least to make some money back or just to have some financial stability. And these big collapses really hurt those people the most. Like, I mean, if you're just your average Joe and you put a few $1,000s into this company, or maybe you use a financial advisor that puts your money into someone else, into a company like this, and it falls apart, that's money you're never going to get back. And inflation is already very high. So, if more banks continue to fall apart, we could see a real problem for a lot of Americans. So, it's a pretty big issue that I
Yeah.
don't think it's good people just gloss over. So,
And again,
talking
we
about it.
saw, kind of like how we brought up, how the car and housing market were, like the automobile and housing prices were ridiculous. That is usually the first indicator that the economy is going to head into some type of contraction, is when prices of commodities and prices of like markets like the housing market start to go up. Everyone was saying, oh, look at the Biden economy, look at how well these companies are doing. But then if you dig deeper, like in 2021, we were seeing warning signs that we were going to have a collapse. Like we were seeing, like how the GDP was growing, but people weren't working. Like they can claim low unemployment rates, but the thing is, people aren't claiming to be unemployed. But then you look around, places are short of workers everywhere. And more importantly, interest rates were low while inflation was high. And because the Fed did a horrible job at maintaining inflation, like we can all admit that the Fed was horrible and still is horrible with maintaining, trying to keep inflation down, which I think had they acted on this earlier, we wouldn't be in this mess. I mean, part of this is inflation. The other part of this is just bad policy from the Bidens. Like, part of this, I think, is their reckless spending and their endless need to print money. I mean, truthfully, I think had we not had a Biden presidency, I don't think this would have happened. We might have seen a minor recession, because that's normal. Minor recessions are definitely normal for any president. But I think we're on the verge of economic advisors are saying we could have another Great Depression on our hands. I mean, if you look at the European economies and the European markets, how they're collapsing too, we're looking at something that is very similar to what went down in 1929, and I'm not excited.
And,
We're
and
seeing parallels to the GFC and the Great Depression, and I don't. It's kind of scary.
may I add one thing to what North Star said? If we're saying that um, if we're seeing that the inflation's up, the economy is I'm just gonna say it quite frankly, the economy's in the tank, and uh, as we saw from the previous presidency, it is absolutely horrific compared to that, and also that if we're looking now at the stock market, seeing how bad we've had in this past week, and the fact that um, the current administration, like you said, North Star, isn't necessarily taking any action on this. If everyone just neglects this, neglects this problem that we're seeing, we're gonna, like you said, we're gonna have major issues coming in the next months or even weeks. Um, if we continue to see the decline, or if we continue to see the decline of the banks, the economy, the stock market, that all that goes hand in hand. If that is all coming to a crash, to the end, we're not gonna have I should say a working country. Now, also, I would like to add to what Buckeye said a little bit earlier. A lot of people who invest in the stock market are retired people who don't have a job anymore, that who have worked very hard in their younger life to build a substantial amount of income to where that can sustain them for 20 to 30 years of their older age. Now, if we're seeing the economy is awful, the stock market's awful, and they invest in the stock market, we can see people who are 70, 80 years old needing to go on possibly welfare or even have to go get a job again. And if they go on welfare and the economy's already in the tank, we're going to see the entire economic spectrum come to a complete collapse.
Yeah,
True.
absolutely. So it's it's a very interesting topic we have to discuss, and we're going to keep following it for the rest of the future episodes on this show. So now we're going to go on to the next story of the night, and that is that, and we'll do this one first. That well, let me share my screen before I explain the story, and that is that a Russian jet has collided with an American drone over the Black Sea, according to the U.S. military. Obviously, with the war in Ukraine, it's a very volatile, complex situation going on over there. And a Russian fighter jet has collided with an American military drone over the Black Sea. I'm not sure if I'm not sure what happened to the Russian pilot. I honestly don't know. I know the drone was just destroyed and fell into the ocean. The Pentagon said this today. I'm not sure about the fighter jet, but obviously it's a very interesting situation because it's pretty much right near an active war zone. I mean, the Black Sea is right where Crimea is, right where pretty much all the fighting is going on. So it's interesting that an American drone was so close to that area, and that the Russians collided with it. So I'm just curious your guys' thoughts on this story.
Now I don't really know what I can say here without. I don't know how to say this without skirting. Like, I have to skirt on the TOS when I say this. You know the Marco Polo Bridge incident from World War II by chance that
Yeah,
sparked Japan's second invasion of China? You know
the
how the
quote
circumstances
unquote.
behind that were like very weird?
Yeah,
I'm
quote
almost kind
unquote
of wondering
incident.
if this is just an excuse for us to get involved even further. I'm kind of
Yeah,
wondering if this was blueprinted. I can't say the word I want to say. I'm going to say blueprinted. If you know what blueprinting, if you know
No,
what
no, no.
blueprints are used for,
it's
that's what I'm
it's fairly
referencing.
obvious what
I,
you
I,
mean.
I completely I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
I mean, yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
This is
this is sus. Like, the fact is the thing is, this doesn't have to be a volatile situation. Had we, had I guarantee you, had Trump been in office, he would have sat Zelensky and Putin down and told them, all right, listen, Putin wants land and he's obviously not going to give in, but we're not going to let him take all of Ukraine. We'll give him what he wants, and as long as it's reasonable. And I assume that would have ended well. Like, the thing is, people don't understand. Everyone's always so anti-Russia. And I'm over here like, why should we be against Russia? Like, why do we need to make enemies with them, even though they're long gone out of communism. They are not the Soviet Union led
No.
by Gorbachev or Stalin or or any of those people. They are they are the Russian Federation. Like, even though they're kind of cronyist, like, I don't approve of some of their actions. Like, why should we try to be making enemies with them? Like, after all, they have a larger nuclear arsenal than we do. So, allegedly. And if that's true, I think, why should we be trying to get on these countries' bad sides when they haven't, like, Russia really hasn't done anything to us necessarily. The liberals would like to make you think that they did some trolling in 2016, which that was proven. Like, poorly placed Facebook ads don't sway voters. I'm sorry, but they don't. I don't remember the last time an ad anywhere swayed my vote. I'm gonna be on, or my support, I should say, of any candidate, because it didn't. But that's all I have to say. Like, why should we make like, the situation doesn't need to be volatile. We need to be establishing that, hey, we need to put America first. Russia can do whatever they want. We don't really care. Because after all, Ukraine is inconsequential. Ukraine is not America. This is not like they're attacking Mexico or Canada or Cuba or anywhere near us. This is like they're attacking somewhere that isn't even close to us. Now, if they were invading like Mexico or like somewhere near here, I'd be a little concerned. I'd be like, okay, well, maybe we should get involved a little bit. But the fact is, this is nowhere near us. This isn't an ally. This isn't a geographical location close to us. And if any, from what I've heard, we have missiles missile silos near Russia. So people say it's Russian aggression. I think this is American aggression, and I think this incident is just BS. I think this incident is very fishy. There's really no details, it looks like. So
I would like to add something. So I think that first of all, no matter who is in the Oval Office or who's the president, I don't think that there was any substantial reasoning for the United States to get involved with the Ukraine-Russia war. We have absolutely no need to defend Ukraine because they're not in NATO, okay? And also, we have absolutely no part in Europe over there and even part of Asia too, because Russia is in Asia. But we have absolutely no reason to be involved in a war between two completely different countries when they are thousands of miles away. So first of all, why was there even a drone over near there?
that's what I want to know.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And second of all, why was a Russian jet flying over the Black Sea? That's another question that we need to figure out. But to be honest, that's not that important because it doesn't involve us. We're getting ourselves involved with two countries, and primarily a country that has a very large military that probably could, if not defeat us, it could probably come very, very close to doing that with how much the Biden administration has depleted our military. We're in a really bad situation here, and the fact that we keep poking our noses into beehives that we really don't need to be is just making Russia not like the United States more and more and have a target on our backs.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Ukraine, they really don't provide any strategic value to our country. And if you look at the areas Russia really wants to gain into this, I personally don't believe Russia actually wants to conquer all of Ukraine. But if you look at the areas that Russia is focusing their invasion in and is, fighting for, they're mostly ethnic Russians who have voted to join Russia on multiple occasions in recent years. So as to why the US is sending our drones and so much of our resources to Ukraine, I really don't know, other than we want to just piss off the Russians essentially, but it's risking a lot more than I think a lot of people realize because Russia, as North Star pointed out, they do have more nuclear missiles than us. And as you pointed out just now, Old Line, they do have a pretty strong military, especially when compared to ours, which has certainly been falling apart in recent years. So we're going to go on to the final story of the night, and that is both the 2024 Republican frontrunners have visited the state of Iowa. Both DeSantis and Trump were in Iowa a couple days ago over the weekend. Both had pretty well attended and pretty sizable rallies in the same city as well, which is interesting. It was in Davenport, which is a sort of a small town, I believe, just outside Des Moines. And not a whole lot to say really from my side, other than that. I think DeSantis is going to run at this point. I'd be stunned if he didn't. There's too many moves being made, too many campaign stops, too many people pushing him to run. So I do think we will see a Trump and DeSantis primary. My support is firmly behind President Trump, obviously. But I just want to know what you guys think about both of them visiting Iowa and the same town actually in like a couple of days, whether that could mean anything. And DeSantis mostly talked about his generic issues. He talked about, fighting woke culture and how he's done a good job in Florida. While Trump more or less focused on, he attacked DeSantis a little bit, but he also talked about taking on woke culture and getting left wing and gender ideologies out of our schools, which I thought was interesting because that's usually kind of DeSantis's, I guess, mojo or his main issue. But Trump talked about it, and Trump also attacked DeSantis for his recent for voting against Medicaid and supporting raising Medicaid to, I believe, like raising it to 70. I'm not exact, or Social Security, maybe, I'm not sure, but raising the retirement age or something. So Trump actually was hammering DeSantis on economic issues, while they both talked about, cultural issues. So just curious to get your guys' thoughts, and it's very interesting.
I guess I'll go first here. No, I think it's inevitable that Ron DeSantis does run for president. Like you said, there's too many moves being made here. The fact that he is so-called going on tour for his new book, but if you look at those stops and states that he's going to, the very key campaign stops for a Republican primary or a primary at that. So the fact that DeSantis is leading in polls, he's having people pushing him to run, and he looks like, and he is he's the front runner against Donald Trump. If I were Donald Trump, I would be doing what he's doing right now, going to these states that he's visiting to try and reach out to those those people who are in Donald Trump's base, reaching out to those people who kind of looked forward to the now former president. Ron DeSantis, I like him. He's been a good governor in Florida, but the only thing I'm skeptical about is that we know what Donald Trump can do. We know what he was able of doing while he was president. I'm just not too confident that that I can trust Ron DeSantis from undoing a lot of the stuff that the Biden administration has undone and has made new from the Trump administration. What the political decline and the economic decline and how bad the country is in the position right now. I just don't know if DeSantis is the guy who is going to have that backbone and that drive to really bring back the United States to its former glory.
Yeah, like Ron DeSantis again. There's this group of people who are related to Oldline who are they're very crack-headed when it comes to their support. They're like, one minute they say, "Oh, we want Trump." Next minute they're like, there's one person who said Trump was like a rhino because he was allegedly bad on social issues or something. I don't know. You might know who I'm talking about. You might not, but
yes,
I do
overall,
not.
not you. I know you don't, Buckeye, but the
I
problems I've been having really with this whole Ron DeSantis campaign is Ron DeSantis. Again, this is kind of obvious talking points, but DeSantis is not I hate saying this, but DeSantis is not electable. Compared to Trump, like people say, "Oh, well, what do you mean? Trump is less electable. He lost in 2020." Well, the thing is, he barely lost in the states he needed to win. We look at hypothetical polling matchups. DeSantis is getting trounced in the swing states against Biden. Like hypothetical polls have him losing Wisconsin by like 4, which I don't think he'd lose it by 4. I don't think it'd be D+4, not at all. But DeSantis, I number one, I don't think he has it. Number two, kind of like what was said earlier, Ron DeSantis doesn't have it to undo everything that's happened. Like Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, is kind of like the Pierre Poilievre of America, where he's good, but he still is gonna kind of end up our country's still going to lead towards the WEF and the globalist agenda, just a lot slower. That's kind of what I see. And I'm not saying DeSantis is bad. Like, I'd support him if he wins the primary, obviously, because you got to be a team player. But DeSantis, not only I think there's a lot of dark money in Washington. DeSantis, we saw how he voted when he was a congressman. He voted against USMCA, its first rendition. He voted against several of Trump's EPA regulation repeals. He voted he voted like a rhino. And now, Donald Trump is the entire reason Ron DeSantis is even governor of Florida in the first place. Had Ron DeSantis not been Trump endorsed, he would have lost that 2018 primary. I don't even think he would have won. Even if he won it, I don't think he would have won the governor race if Trump didn't endorse him. I think that helped him that much that he was able to beat Gillum. He barely beat a crackhead in 2018. People don't remember that. People say DeSantis is this electoral juggernaut. He barely beat a literal crackhead. So I don't want to hear it. And I know blue wave environment, but Florida's like literally immune to that. So what is it?
Florida's turned to the new Texas.
It is
with the Republican Party, and Trump pushed it in 2016, brought it back. In 2020, he pushed it even farther. I should say, let me back up to 2018. He pushed Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis to the finish line in the general. Both won very, very close margins against very, very tough candidates. With the incumbency of, I think it was Bill Nelson, wasn't that the now former senator from Florida? Who was a Democrat. Rick Scott unseated a now former senator in a blue wave year, which if it wasn't for Donald Trump in 2016, there was absolutely no way that Rick Scott would have been able to do that. Now, if we move to Ron DeSantis's political career in the House of Representatives and just as a whole was in shambles. It was awful. He was very unpopular in his district. He was very unpopular amongst people in the state even before Trump endorsed him in the primary. And like you said, North Star, if Trump did not endorse him, there's absolutely no way. Well, I'm not saying there's absolutely no way. There's very few chance that he was going to be able to win the primary and indefinitely win the general election come that fall. So, yeah, without Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis wouldn't even be the governor, wouldn't even be able to make it to Iowa. And I think people should understand that and respect that Donald Trump has made a very key and critical role in Ron DeSantis's, political career as of today.
Yeah, absolutely. People, I think a lot of people are starting to get this, but I mean, DeSantis, even if you like him or not, you can't deny that without Trump's endorsement in the 2018 primary and probably 2018 general as well, because Trump has just always had a little bit of magic when it comes to him in Florida, he probably would not have been governor. And I mean, DeSantis he's certainly evolved in a lot of issues. There's still a lot of unknowns. We don't know where he stands on trade. We don't know exactly how, I guess you would say, in bed he is with the people in D.C., the swamp, as they call him. Because really, I mean, DeSantis himself, I don't think is a bad guy. I think he's, done a good job as governor. He has a questionable past, but he's made up for that. My concern is the fact that there is hundreds of millions of dollars coming from seemingly nowhere, and where we do know where it is coming from. It's from the swamp in Washington, D.C., and that is basically just they're putting all their weight behind him. And I think that's going to lead to a bad scenario if he ends up winning. Because sure, he may campaign. He can say whatever he wants on the campaign trail. He can be as conservative and he can be the perfect candidate on the campaign trail. But once he gets into office, he's going to owe the people who paid him hundreds of millions of dollars to do what they want him to do. And those people who are funding him and who are going to be supporting his campaign, they're not exactly on our side if you look at who they are. So I think it's just interesting to know, and that's just my 2 cents. So with that, I think we're going to be done with the topic. We can continue discussing the 2024 primary, but I'll just take the article off of our screen. So we now are pretty much in the discussion phase. We'll talk about anything, everything. We'll get some questions from chat. So, yeah, that's about it. AP, I do see you in chat. Just DM me on Twitter or Discord or something if you want to join. We do this like the night before. We get everyone who's going to join in like a group chat and we talk. So sorry you can't join now, but just next time you can come on.
Yeah. So, I'm going to ask North Star and both of you this question, but what do you guys think about Nikki Haley? Do you think she's just some guy, or I should say a woman? She's a woman. I'm sorry. You think she's just some person who's just trying to throw their hat in hat in the ring, just to shake things up, or is she actually? Do you think she's actually being legit about trying to get to the presidency?
I think I personally, I don't know if North Star was going to talk. I'm sorry if I do. I personally think that Nikki Haley is vying for a VP spot. I think she's kind of gonna run, and she might make a few attacks, but really she'll just kind of be minding her own business in terms of the campaign. We've even seen she's been very quiet so far in terms of she hasn't really attacked either Trump or DeSantis directly. So I think that she's probably just going to lay low, just run her own campaign. I mean, she'll obviously have to make statements and attacks at some point, but I think she's going to do her best not to really go after Trump or DeSantis. And I think whoever is kind of leading around Super Tuesday ish, for example, if DeSantis is clearly going to beat Trump, then she'll probably drop out. And because I think most Nikki Haley supporters would probably vote for DeSantis over Trump. So I think that if DeSantis is leading, she'll probably drop out and get DeSantis's VP spot if he wins. And then it's kind of the same thing. I think if Trump is leading pretty handily, maybe she'll stay in a little bit longer to keep kind of splitting that, I guess, more moderate Republican vote so Trump can win. And then maybe from there, Trump will give her the VP spot. So, I mean, we've already seen a couple leaks that have Trump considering Nikki Haley. So I would not be surprised if there's some sort of like 4D chess going on where Trump is like, listen, Nikki Haley, we know you have no chance, but if you could just split the vote, get a few people who wouldn't vote for me to vote for you, so you can split the DeSantis vote, then that's perfect, and maybe you'll be VP. So I would not be surprised at all if that's what's going on. But she is Nikki Haley. I could also see that she seriously thinks she can win the presidency, which is probably delusional, but maybe she's in it to win it. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I honestly think she's like, considering like how she is, I feel part of me wants to believe that she's just trolling, kind of in a way, like that she's just kind of doing this to, screw over DeSantis. Which, in my opinion, like I think DeSantis does kind of deserve to get screwed in this primary by Trump. On like that sounds harsh, but it's true because DeSantis really like I don't think DeSantis would even win the general. Like we're having concerns that Trump won't win the general, let alone Ron DeSantis, who can't like keep in mind. Anybody outside of the South or in extreme political spheres, does anybody even know who he is? No.
Probably
Like,
not, or at least
does the average
they don't know enough about him. Like, I'm sure if you say Ron DeSantis, it's like, oh, I've heard of him, but like,
they'll say like, oh,
I
I've heard
doubt
his
anyone's
name.
actually like knows all about him. If you know
Right,
what I
like
mean.
they're not, because obviously ask a farmer in like rural Wisconsin or western Minnesota, hey, do you know anything about Ron DeSantis? And they'll say he's the governor of Florida and he did the one thing against Disney the one time. That's probably what they'll say. Other than that, like you ask them, oh, who's Donald Trump? They'll tell you all about him because the thing is, Trump has name recognition. Everybody knows who he is. Like people worldwide know who Trump is. Like that's how much of a phenomenon he is. In my opinion, Trump is our guy because literally, like if you look at his policy videos lately,
Absolutely.
Trump has been on point.
Yeah, I'm very excited for when
His
Trump actually holds
messaging.
rallies and stuff because I think he's going to be really focused and on point
And
this year.
again, I personally, and this might age really well or really poorly. I honestly think that DeSantis, as of right now, wouldn't do well in the primary. You look at the nationwide polls again. Trump is winning these nationwide polls over Ron DeSantis by like 20, 30 points. And if you're winning the national popular vote in a primary by 30 points, you might as well be the nominee. Because there's no way your opponent wins unless you're the DNC and weird crap happens. But truthfully, but then you see like these state polls that are saying Ron DeSantis leading in Alabama, Ron DeSantis leading in Iowa. Like, give me a break. You're telling me some of the most Trumpian states in America that Trump got historic margins in for a Republican, they wouldn't pick him again? You're telling me that he would lose Iowa to DeSantis? Really? One of the most that arguably Iowa is one of the biggest, is one of the biggest
Pro-Trump states, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest pieces to Trump's, red firewall of the Midwest that he's trying to build was Iowa. Like Iowa, Ohio are the top two. Like those are states that were Iowa was a Democrat state and Ohio, as everybody knows, was like a hardcore swing state. Now they're both red. And that's because of Trump. I think if someone like DeSantis comes along, sure, he'll win them, in the general, but will he win the states? Will he win the big three that matter? No. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I don't even think I'm doubting Trump's chances in Michigan and Pennsylvania. If I'm doubting Trump in those states, that's his strong point, I don't even think DeSantis can win them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
100% agree with you. Also, I wanted to add this. After Trump's visit to East Palestine and everything in Ohio, and how Biden has poorly neglected Ohio, as you know, Buckeye, do you think Donald Trump wins both Iowa and Ohio with more than 10 points over Biden?
I'm leaning towards saying yes. Obviously the election's pretty far away still, but I'm definitely would have to say yeah, especially Iowa. Ohio probably by around 10 to 11, but Iowa probably by maybe 12, 13 as of now.
Yeah. The Ohio
Obviously, yeah.
primary, it's going to come down to what part of the state turns out more, I think. Like if Trump can get enough votes out of the out of his strong point, which is like Mahoning, Trumbull,
I think
that part of
Trump
the
would beat
state.
DeSantis in an Ohio primary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in Ohio, I think
His endorsement single-handedly got Vance over the finish line. Like I don't really
True.
see like I don't know if it's single-handedly,
then again,
but
then again,
Okay.
the the deep state got him. Okay.
All right.
Here he is. He's back.
crap. Okay, as I said, so Google.
All right.
That's a Vince Kyle moment right there. As I said, we all said, oh, 2022 will be easy for Republicans to win, and then what happened? The nightmare scenario that nobody expected. I honestly think for the primary, we should I think we should be prepared for the worst because we can't get too cocky because Trump may be leading the primary polls right now, but it's gotten more competitive. And again, I'm not saying Trump is going to lose primary because right now I think if it were held within these next few weeks, I think Trump would probably take it by a large margin. But that being said, we should always, in my opinion, we should treat every race like we're down by 5, but we're closing the gap. We need to get out and vote for our candidate to get him over the hump. And that's how I see it. I think even if Trump is ahead by a lot in the primary poll, let's go ahead and make sure the polls come to fruition. Let's go ahead and say, oh, well, in my opinion, conservatives, once the primary comes around and you want to vote Trump, tell your friends, honestly, like if you have to lie to them and say DeSantis might win the primary in your state to get him to vote for Trump, you do a little deception, a little white.
Yeah.
For the benefit of all Americans.
Right.
And,
I mean,
and the Republican Party.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think with the pending economic crisis that we're about to go into, that was predicted by some economists, economists as late as 2020 and even 2019, who said that we would enter a dark period in the early 2020s. I think that helps Trump significantly because Trump has a proven track record with the economy, as we know. I mean, the Trump economy was one of the best, I believe it was the strongest since the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. We had like record stock market growth. We had, record low gas prices not seen since the Reagan days. So, I think personally, I think if the again, I'm not saying I want the economy to collapse because I don't, because I mean, pretty soon I'm entering the period now where, you slowly start to become more independent. You get a job and all that. That's going to suck, but the truth is it would help us electorally. And I think it would help Trump because he has a proven track record with the economy. Ron DeSantis doesn't. State economies can do well, but the thing is that's largely influenced by the federal government and the country as a whole. And I think DeSantis on economic issues, I think Trump has the upper hand there. And I think if we do fall into a recession, DeSantis, I think, loses the primary. But if it holds off until after the primary, I think DeSantis has a shot. That's my opinion. I think the economic situation could screw over DeSantis, which is a good thing, kind of. I hate saying that about him because he's my favorite governor, but it's going to be a tough primary.
So
yeah, it's gonna be rough to watch.
Two of my favorite politicians are gonna have to go up against each other. That's gonna be hard to watch, man.
I'm excited for the debates, though.
I am,
They're both
though.
pretty talented debaters. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
DeSantis kind of sucks at debating, if we're being honest.
He does.
That's true.
I mean, the only way he won those debates for the 2022 is because Charlie Crist was the nominee. To be
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
I mean,
Charlie Crist was a literal joke.
there was a lot to attack him on right there. I mean, flip flopping from two political parties, and then just him personally, you know. But also, I do want to add one thing, jumping off topic, for all of you guys and myself, who ever since Joe Lombardo announced he was running in 2022, and now that he's the governor of Nevada, there was a bill proposed by the Nevada General Assembly, which is a Democrat, has Democrat majorities in the state Senate and the House of Delegates, that would be an abortion bill. There's not too much information on whether that would be an amendment to the Constitution of the state of Nevada or it's just a bill to protect abortion rights. But to get to the point, Joe Lombardo said in a press statement that he would most likely sign that bill. So I don't think it's hit many big news articles or many big news sites. But I just want to ask, what are your guys' thoughts on that statement? And you can look it up too. It's probably still out there. But
I've
me
heard about
personally, that's kind of a slap in the face to a lot of people who, when he ran on, I think he ran on at least a pro-life campaign. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Lombardo,
not
I've
entirely
always
sure.
known he's kind of squishy on social issues to an extent, so that doesn't completely surprise me. I'd have to do more research to like really give my real opinion because honestly, I've just read like a headline or two, and then you mentioned that, so I don't know the whole situation. I would hope that because he did run on a pro life campaign, so I would hope he does a little bit better on that issue. You know, it's kind of a slap in the face, as you said, to conservatives who supported him. But like I said, I haven't really done my homework on that, so I can't really comment.
It looks like GOP has a little bit of an explanation to
Okay,
that.
we'll pull it up then. Common GLPW. That bill simply said Nevada would not pay for other states to enforce abortion bans. Nevada won't pay for other states to
What?
That doesn't make any
What?
sense.
Yeah, that makes
That is a GLP. That's a GLP.
yeah.
That's a GOP
Nevada will
comment.
not pay for other states to enforce abortion bans. So like they won't pay states to enforce abortion. What?
They were? I'm so confused.
Yeah,
like
Nevada
they
was
were?
paying
What?
states to enforce abortion bans. What?
It's like wait, you're telling
made
me
me more
they always
confused.
have been?
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I don't get a check in the mail from Nevada saying, "Here, get an abortion."
This isn't.
What do you mean? I get those all the time.
Oh,
Nevada. Oh, okay. Nevada won't pay for states to enforce abortion bans. So, like, if a state were to ban abortion, Nevada won't pay for it.
How would
I
they pay?
think.
I'm so
Yeah. Why would you
confused.
pay? How? What are they? What's the money for?
Maybe they're saying if a state bans abortion, then if they come into the state, then Nevada won't pay for it. Like they had you.
That would make more sense. Maybe that's
Yeah,
it.
that might be it.
But
That's
still, that's a
very
really
very weirdly worded.
Yeah.
If that's
This
what the
is-
bill actually says, GOP, that's a really horrible bill.
Yeah.
If the bill, I mean, like, I don't know. Personally, okay, abortion is an issue. I think that is the unfortunate part. Okay, I'm having a stroke. I'm having a John Fetterman moment. This is my usual Fetterman moment every time we do this. I have to step over my words 500 times, but as I said,
Good night, everybody.
personally, abortion is an issue that we need. I think we need to kind of take it like step by step at a time because America is like whether we like it or not, America isn't ready for an all-out ban because that would screw us for the next 10 years electorally because we saw it happen in 2022. I'm not saying abortion lost us because it didn't, but it definitely hurt us in like states like Michigan and Pennsylvania where you had the candidates say some very questionable things, that sound like they weren't questionable, but they sounded optically like not good. So I think it's
Yeah.
it's kind of an issue that not a lot of Americans like. I would love to see, like if Trump takes office in 2025 after winning in 2024, I would love to see him day one announce a federal ban on abortion, and go dark MAGA. But at the same time, I don't think we'd be ready for that. Now, granted, he
It'd be
wouldn't run
political
again.
suicide.
Now,
It
granted,
would be.
he wouldn't run again. So it wouldn't hurt him, but it would hurt whoever runs after him. So I don't know. It's a sticky situation. Personally, what I would start with is, outlawing people who aren't residents of your state to get an abortion. I think, like, if you live in a moderate state like Minnesota, if you're a Republican, which I don't think will win here ever, but if it does happen, that'd be a good stepping stone. Then you start with like kind of like what Ohio did up until like 6 weeks, which is basically like not even a baby, which still not okay that they allow it like that late unless they change
Obviously, we
that.
should go further.
But it's a good start. Like, you need a good start, kind of like with the culture war stuff, where you start small by banning CRT, and then eventually you grow. It's a snowball. You need to start small because otherwise you screw yourself over. That's what I think. And
Yeah, I
it's
would
the
tend to
unfortunate
agree,
truth. It's the unfortunate truth, but
yeah. All right. What do we got? Ooh, Senate elections.
Okay, so right here is the 2022 Senate elections. And I wanted to point out something very interesting here. As you look, you have Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, the leaders of the Senate in both parties. Now, if you go down here, you see the seats before and after, and then you have the popular vote. Even though the Democratic Party flipped a seat in the 2022 Senate elections and got a majority of 51, the Republican Party won the popular vote, which is quite interesting right here, as you can see. The Republican Party received 39,876,285 votes to the Democrat Party's 39,802,675. So I wouldn't say a substantial amount of votes more, but it's quite interesting that the Democrat Party flipped a Senate seat, but yet lost the popular vote. I just thought that was quite interesting.
To be fair, the map, like, I think a lot of conservatives, like, going into the Senate elections, I think we kind of overhyped ourselves a little bit. Like, we overhyped our chances a little bit because you look into the map, it was kind of unfavorable. You have, like, look at the states there. You have Georgia, which is blue trending. You have Pennsylvania, which is just the weirdest state in existence besides Minnesota, arguably. Like, Pennsylvania, if you think about it, is just one of the most cursed states because on paper, Pennsylvania should be like voting like Mississippi, like R+18, like that. Not quite safe R, but close to it. But then you look at how the state votes, and you see like these blue collar neighborhoods voting like 90% Democrats still in some areas like Pittsburgh, and it's like, what are you doing? But moreover, you look at the states that we had to hold, like, we were worried about, holding, like, we had to hold seats, like Wisconsin, we had to hold that in a state Biden won. We were looking to defend a seat in Pennsylvania, a state that Biden won. Like, it was a crappy map that I think in hindsight we kind of didn't realize. Now, granted, we have a pretty good map in 2024. Like, it's almost I wouldn't say it's automatically guaranteed because this is the Republican Party we're discussing. Like, they would find a way to screw this up. Don't worry, they'll do it. But it was a crappy map, and moreover, most of our popular votes, I think, came from Florida. I think most of it came from Florida. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, but in New York, I'm bet Zeldin, his coattails probably helped us
quite a bit. But in essence, I think we overhyped our chances in the Senate. Like, I think we would have still had a shot to take it, but as much as I like people like Blake Masters, I hate to say it, but like, he was not the best chance of
Masters was
Arizona. No, okay,
I'm pretty sure in the debate he talked about like cutting Social Security in Arizona. So.
I don't think he did. I think he. I don't remember what he said. All I know is the only thing I remember from that debate was Mark Victor made himself look like a man-child, and that's all I remember from that debate. And then, like, a day later, because he dipped in the polls, he dropped out. Now, granted, I thought Mark Victor would screw Masters over. No, he didn't, because Kelly got over 50%. He kind of did.
I mean, he still took like 2% of the vote, but...
Right, but at the same time, Kelly still got over 50%, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, so it didn't really matter.
I don't know. Like, Masters, I think, like, again, I like Masters. Like, he was my favorite Senate candidate. I think Masters could win in that state. I just think he needs to learn how to, like, campaign properly. I think if he
also didn't get any funding.
Right, that's true.
Now,
the money from Peter Thiel never came in, and the RNC didn't give him anything.
Now, granted, the RNC, I think, kind of, in hindsight, I think the RNC was mad that we primaried a bunch of their rhinos. I think they intentionally screwed us in a way, like
Absolutely.
from
It's
when,
all
like,
because they were Trump endorsed. That's the only
right,
reason.
like like now, granted, Joe Kent. People are saying, "Oh, Joe Kent was good." Now, granted, I have I have a lot of issues with Joe Kent. Like the fact that he said Christ was too divisive, and the fact that he said like, the fact that he was like a federal agent or whatever. It's like, I don't know. People are saying he was so good. I don't think he was great. Like, I mean, of course, I'm kind of sad that he lost because we could have used a bigger House majority, but overall, like, I think the RNC intentionally screwed this election up. Like, part of the reason I think like you look at like the Minnesota, like, like the Minnesota statewide races, the Minnesota GOP intentionally like didn't take the state Senate back because the Republican candidates running in swing districts were Trump backed, or they were Trump aligned, not Trump backed. And the Minnesota GOP being really establishment didn't like that. You look in like Wisconsin, how the governor candidate like Michaels ran a very like anti-establishment campaign, and then mysteriously loses by more than Walker, you know. But then on the same night, Ron Johnson holds. I don't know, like weird crap like that happens, and it makes
Well, to
me
be fair,
like,
Michaels didn't really run that good of a campaign, if I'm being
right. I
quite
mean, if
frank.
I think if Michaels had the energy, I think
He
he definitely
basically
would have.
didn't campaign until October, and even then, he only campaigned in like the WoW counties, and he had like 1 or 2 ads. So,
To be fair though, I think if Michaels would have campaigned like Kerry Lake did, he would have easily won.
oh
But
yeah, definitely.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Then again, like I don't mean to like toot my own horn or anything, because I know everyone's always like, oh, I'd be the perfect candidate. I honestly think I'd be the only Republican in Minnesota to be able to win the state. I'm gonna be honest, because
I think you're
you
too
know,
far right on social issues.
well, listen here. That's it's not. Well, what if hypothetically I just don't touch that. I just say, you know what? Social issues, what is that? That's not a thing. That's not real.
You'll turn into a Ron DeSantis.
I basically, you need like to win a state like Minnesota at the state level, or like a state like Pennsylvania, even at the state level. Like the federal level is a different story. Pennsylvania is such a weird state too. Like the fact that in 2010 they had like this really establishment Republican governor, Tom Corbett, win a bunch of counties and win like Pittsburgh, but then the very next election gets swept. Like that state's weird. No wonder
And
why Oz
and
lost.
and if I might add to that, it was 2014 when the neighboring state of Maryland voted more conservative than the state of Pennsylvania in a red wave year. That just doesn't make any sense.
Pennsylvania, like people talk about how cursed, like like, oh, like Wisconsin's a cursed state, and I'm like, no, 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 no. It's Pennsylvania. Like they had a Republican governor in win in 2010, win Allegheny County by over 10%, get Trump margins in the rurals, and also do really well in Philadelphia. Like he literally, I think he got within 40 of winning Like he got within 40 in Philadelphia City. What the
Wow.
heck? But then he loses to Tom freaking Wolf. I mean, really, like, how do you lose to Tom Wolf?
Yeah,
Like, he was
it's
such a
sad.
beatable candidate, but I mean, he was entrenched. He had the party apparatus behind him. So
Well, I mean, look at Mastriano and Josh Shapiro. I wouldn't have thought that Shapiro would have won by 14 points.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, even though I said I thought Mastriano would have pulled it off, deep down inside, I kind of knew Shapiro was gonna like win by a lot. Like, I kind of had a feeling Shapiro was gonna win. Like, I like Mastriano as a person, but like as a candidate, he was a crappy nomination, if I'm being frank. As much as I like him as a person, he was just an awful candidate for Pennsylvania. Like
And now he
we
might be running
really,
for Senate.
Oh
and if he
yeah,
runs for
You guys
Senate, you
see
might as
that?
if he runs for Senate, the Senate seat is safety without a doubt against Bob Casey. No, not winning.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another thing to share here. So this is the 2026 gubernatorial elections in the United States. And if we look here, you can see down here we have the light shade of blue is Democrat incumbent seats where the incumbent governor could run for re-election. And in the light shade of red is the Republican incumbent with the same thing, they could run for re-election. And in the dark red and blue, it's term limited Democrat and Republican. Now, looking at this map, 2026 could either be a pickup seats for the Republican Party in these key states. if it is a red wave year. But if it's a blue wave year, this could be easy flips for the Democrats. I wouldn't say necessarily easy, but it could be flips nonetheless. So we have states like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio. You know, South Dakota and Wyoming aren't going to be very competitive. The Republicans going to win, and Oklahoma most likely will be a Republican hold. But you also have Alaska, which is ranked choice voting. Now, if this is a red wave year, we can see Republicans holding Ohio, Georgia, and Florida, and even Alaska. But if we have a blue wave year, we could possibly see the state of Georgia flipping. Actually, I'm sorry, Georgia's probably going to flip nonetheless if it's even a moderate, I guess, a stagnant political system where if there's just a no wave at all. And we also could see Democrats picking up Alaska. Speaking that Mary Peltola won in against Sarah Palin back in 2022. So it's a really cursed map if you look at it from the Republican standpoint. It could go either way, good or bad. So it's just quite interesting to look at 2026. I know it's a long ways away, but just looking at the states that are up and the incumbents.
It depends on. I think this. Okay. If Republicans pick up states, I think like the most likely pickup we'll get on this map is Kansas. Like if like assuming it's a neutral environment, the most likely pickup is Kansas. If it's like a red wave environment, we could hype it because Whitmer is term limited in Michigan because we don't know if Evers is going to run for a third term because we all know what happens when Wisconsin governors attempt to run for third terms. We all know what happens. They don't win. Walker tried it, didn't work. And all that other stuff. I mean, really, I think if we see more like if Biden wins re-election, I think we have a bunch of pickups. But at the same time, if Trump wins, it's going to be a different map. Definitely. Like if Biden wins, we're going to see I'd say we'd see an even bigger red wave midterm because of how lackluster this one was. But do I think Biden will win re-election at this very moment? No. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this map just looks really cursed. I think Democrats are going to auto flip Georgia no matter what at this point. Like, I mean, the Senate race didn't even go red when Brian Kemp won. When Brian Kemp almost won by 10, and a bunch of statewide guys held on. But then the Senate race was blue. Like, if not even statewide candidates can carry like Senate candidates over the edge, I think Georgia's done for. It's only a matter of time before Stacey Abrams gets in there as governor, or if she decides to go for it again, because knowing how she'll do it again.
Be Jason Carter who runs in 2026.
I don't know. I mean, we basically, like with Brian Kemp, I mean, we basically have third term Nathan Deal. Or technically fourth term. We have like fourth term Nathan Deal going on, but I mean, I think Kemp pre-COVID was a good governor. Like he seemed pretty based before COVID, and then I think
during COVID he opened up like before Trump did.
I don't know what happened to him. Like he was good before the election stuff happened. I don't know what happened to him, and then after that he just became weird. I don't know. I don't know if that's because of Trump. Like, I mean, I can see why he would disdain Trump because Trump did kind of go after him when he couldn't do anything about it. But at the same time, it's inexcusable that he's done nothing to help save his state. Like, keep in mind, Republicans have a trifecta in Georgia. They have like a super majority in both state legislature chambers. Why aren't they fighting to save their state? Why aren't they legislating policies that would drive liberals out of the state to other states like Colorado in droves? Why are they just keep in mind the Georgia State House is debating on ranked choice voting when they have a state that is literally about to go blue?
Because they're full of swamp creatures and rhinos. That's the problem.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, we're seeing a state that, that's 16 electoral votes. Like, sure, we can afford to win without it, but that's a lot of electoral votes that we could use. With Georgia gone, we need to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania in order to win. Because if we don't, Republicans used to be able to win without those easily because we had Colorado, we had Nevada, we had Georgia, we had Virginia.
And
now
Arizona.
we don't even. Now we don't have Colorado. We definitely don't have Colorado. Virginia, do I think it maybe could come back? eventually, but not anytime soon. Like I think Glenn Youngkin winning definitely stalled Virginia's blue trend, but will they take the state Senate back? If Republicans win the state Senate in Virginia, I think Virginia will start to swing right. But if they
Yeah.
don't, then uh-oh. But either way, because we don't have those three, and Nevada being Nevada and doing Nevada type things, I honestly think Republican electoral chances are not looking good if Georgia does go the way the dinosaur, which it looks like it will. It could very well change course. Like I honestly would encourage conservatives to move to Georgia rather than Florida because we have Florida locked up. We need to save Georgia. It still can be saved. If Republican statewide officials can still hold on in years where Democrat federal officials are winning, I think we definitely should try to save it. You know, I mean, tons of people who live in like Illinois or New York, tell them to move to Georgia and Arizona to save it. And if we do save it, then we won't have to worry. But that's my take. Like Georgia is savable at the moment, but it's time is running out very fast, and we need to act now, or it's now or never with Georgia. I mean, it's just a matter of time. And I think if again, I mean, if we see what happened with Florida, because Florida looked like it was going to be blue briefly after after 2012, like people were saying the Latino vote is going to come out big for Clinton, and then because of that the state will be blue because of Latinos voting, and then Latinos started to vote more conservative, and then Florida did things, and now here we are. But that's my tangent. I kind of forgot what I was even saying the past minute, but whatever.
Buckeye, what are your thoughts on that map?
For the 2026 elections? Excuse me.
Sir.
I don't know, to be honest. A lot of safe states, honestly, other than like Ohio. Ohio, I don't think it will be that interesting. Florida will be interesting, and then it'll go red, but it'll just be interesting who we put up. Georgia, I think, is probably going to be the most interesting. Might be our last chance to save it. Kansas with Laura Kelly gone, that should be pretty much an instant flip up for the GOP.
Well, we said this in 2022.
Yeah, exactly.
We said, I remember in 2021 how like everybody had Kansas as like likely R at one point, or even say like I had it as safe R up until like June.
I had it likely R, but yeah.
I had it as like I had Schmidt winning by 12. Like that was when I just switched to above 10 is safe. For a while I was one of those people who did like, between 6 and 15 was likely. That's what I used to do. I don't know. The margins are weird. People use weird margins. Like I know I know Real American uses like percentage, and then some people are out here like if you win above 5 it's safe. So I don't know. There's a lot of safe states on that map, as you said. Georgia's gonna. I think Georgia would be the most interesting. Arizona could be interesting at the governor level, but I don't really know, to be honest. Like I think Florida won't be that interesting. I think Republicans are gonna win that regardless.
Well, Ohio will be a hold because Buckeye Politics is officially running in 2026. I heard.
This is true.
I'm the real governor of Minnesota. Everybody knows that. I'm gonna win another term in 2026. Yeah. I'm going to cruise to re-election.
If you do run, I will be out there in Ohio campaigning for you.
You better be. I'm expecting that.
I will be there. Yes.
I will
make Ohio great again.
Yes, you will.
I will single-handedly. I will take a dump live at a campaign rally if you run for governor. I will crap in front of a bunch of people.
We're gonna run the most memeing campaign ever.
You'll run in 2026 and do this awful campaign, and your political career, if you
it'll be over.
It'll be over. Yeah, it'll be over.
6% in the primary.
It'd be pretty cool if you did run, though, even if you lost.
That's a Richard Irvin moment right there.
He had it all, and then he threw it away.
Richard Irvin had it all, and then, because if J.B. Pritzker and Donald Trump agree on the same thing, you're screwed. So that's kind of that's a reference to the one coffin dance meme that GLP made. But
I remember that.
I think Huel Babineau is like going to be the next president.
Nah, bro, it's gonna be me. Iron Range nationalism will spread throughout the Rust Belt.
Good. It better.
Oh, we got like 10 people watching now. We probably should make this a little bit more professional.
All right, so insert professional talk show music here.
Oh, we didn't play the music.
Oh, you didn't put the background music on.
Oh, I
what a
didn't even
shame.
realize that. God
What a
dang it.
shame.
Why, hey, Buckeye, why are you using your blurry profile picture?
Because
'Cause it
the
doesn't
one
work.
doesn't work. I'll change
other-
it right
the-
now. It won't work. Watch.
The one that doesn't suck doesn't work, and I don't. Every time we've
Oh, it
tried
worked. I can see it.
bruh. Only whenever it's just me.
No,
doing it,
look
it
at
doesn't
the
work.
look at the stream on YouTube. It probably won't be there. I bet.
On YouTube.
Oh no. Oh, maybe it is. It looks the exact same on YouTube. Strange.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
I am a professional, guys.
Professional.
I'm a professional
It's working.
Carlton County
People are
enjoyer.
saying they see it. It's still kind of blurry though. So,
Yeah. Interesting. Well,
well.
I can see it.
yeah, the people in the studio, excuse me, can see it.
You know, mine looks kind of blurry on the YouTube side too, so it must be YouTube.
Yeah. Common YouTube L.
Yeah, we also switched
God,
to Rumble.
YouTube is really fallen these past.
We could do this on
4 or 5
Rumble,
years.
actually. I think you can stream from StreamYard to Rumble.
I
don't
think
know how
I'm
that
gonna
works,
be.
though.
Oh, then I can say what I actually want to say.
Yeah,
about
we
stuff,
can, like,
you know?
Exactly.
Have the normal stream, then go to Rumble and do the real stream.
do the off the rails bat crap crazy stream.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be the first election YouTuber to switch to Rumble and make a following there.
Bro, we
Didn't-
Rumble election like predictions.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
we gotta start that.
Doesn't Rep have like a Rumble? Oh no, he has Odyssey. Never mind.
What the heck is Odyssey?
I was gonna use Odyssey, but it died so fast.
Dude, the only time I use Rumble and Odyssey is to watch like documentaries that have been banned off YouTube, like 10,000 Donkeys and Died Lately. If you know what that's referencing, I hope you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alivent very quickly.
Yeah, I've watched a
Alive.
couple documentaries on Rumble about anonymous Q.
Anonymous
that's
Q.
it.
Is that a Minecraft YouTuber?
It actually
That's
is
that one
yeah,
Minecraft
it's a
YouTuber.
Minecraft YouTuber, yeah, and they talk about how they go like in these tunnels under the city they built, and there's interesting stuff that goes on.
And there's like swamp creatures in there.
Yeah, and there's like the baby villagers down there, and they do interesting stuff that no one can know.
And
Oh,
Yeah.
the Minecraft Steves, force the baby villagers to do interesting stuff.
This
Anonymous
stream has.
Q.
This stream,
has gone downhill.
Well, we were talking about what we do on Alt Tech. I'm just saying what I watch on there.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, of course. I don't know what
Anonymous
you
Q Minecraft videos, obviously.
Anonymous Q Minecraft. This is
I'm gonna change the subject and let's talk about the Republican primary now because I'm curious.
we actually have to talk real politics now. Dang
yeah.
it.
I'm
when you
actually
talk
curious.
about real politics.
Right, because that's what your channel is made on.
Loser.
Right. Okay. So I wanna ask who. I should say, what do you have? Iowa, Nevada, and I think South Carolina, and it's also New Hampshire, right? Those are the key primary states. What do you have, or who do you have winning those? Trump or DeSantis?
I have Trump winning Iowa. I had DeSantis winning New Hampshire, but after that recent poll, I think it's pretty obvious that Trump wins New Hampshire. South Carolina, that was Trump's probably one of his strongest performances in 2016. He kind of came out of nowhere and won, and that's what really propelled him to be the nominee. So, I think he's probably, and with Nikki Haley, if she's still in the race and splits the DeSantis vote, then definitely I could see Trump just winning pretty handily there. And then really Super Tuesday, I don't know. I think DeSantis may win a couple states there, but Trump will probably win the majority. So, like, even from like an electoral standpoint, I really don't see how DeSantis could beat Trump. I mean, Trump's base is in Iowa. The polls have Trump up pretty big in New Hampshire. South Carolina, if Nikki Haley's on the ballot, then Trump should have a pretty big advantage there. So, yeah, really, I think Trump's pretty much favored in all the early ones as of now.
So you don't think Nikki Haley can win Iowa? I mean, not Iowa. I'm sorry, South Carolina.
I highly doubt it. I mean,
Probably
it's
not.
possible. She's still only polling at like 10% there. So, like, unless something big changes, I highly doubt it.
If Henry McMaster endorses her, do you think that helps her?
I'm sure it does. I think he already endorsed Trump, though. So,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think people are overhyping DeSantis as a candidate, like in the primary.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
people, I mean, the CPAC straw poll kind of says it all, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
that kind of
definitely.
shows who the actual people want, not just the donors. But
Oh, also, I did want to say this. Hopefully, this doesn't get your stream taken down. We'll find out, I guess. But
oh
George
god,
Soros actually endorsed Ron DeSantis.
no, that was hang on.
Interesting. I wonder why that is.
Yeah.
Truly
Okay,
a mystery.
that wasn't an endorsement, by the way. That he said Ron was like a fighter.
Oh,
In the GOP.
sorry, I didn't mean to say.
I wonder what he's
supports
fighting
him.
for. Huh.
Right, exactly.
That did concern me though. It wasn't an endorsement, but that made me. I was like, Ron, you have some explaining to do.
At least Vivek Ramaswamy has like addressed his stuff with the WEF.
Wait, what? He had ties to the WEF?
Wait. he
Vivek
did?
Ramaswamy? Yeah.
Really?
Oh god.
Yeah, when he announced, when he was like on their young leaders thing like 5-10 years ago, and people on Twitter were calling him out for it, and he was like, I'm glad you guys are skeptical, and he completely explained everything. Basically, they like just they just put you on there if you're like successful enough, and he was successful in his field, so he was on the website, but he was never actually like involved with them. But
so he never really like wanted to be on it. He
no,
just
they
got
just put him on there because it sounded like I don't know, like
kind of like how Vladimir Putin is on it, but like he's not really involved with it.
yeah, like it's just like I don't know, it's like a top 10 list. Like they put you on there, so. But yeah,
like,
at least
I was gonna say like.
Yeah, but he came out and
Putin's on
addressed
there.
that like immediately. Like there were a bunch of people asking him about it, and he immediately came out and he's like, "It's a good thing you're skeptical of me for that, and here's why. You don't have to be worried." But DeSantis has said nothing about that.
Oh wait, is DeSantis on that?
No,
Oh,
but I'm
okay,
saying
I
the
feel like-
endorsement from Soros. and
Oh,
his friends.
that's okay.
That's even bigger than just being on like their website 5 years ago.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
I mean, like honestly, like okay, I hate like we don't talk about how much I hate George Soros. Like words cannot describe how much I want to censor.
I will not be
censored-
happy until
censored.
Viktor Orban puts George Soros behind bars.
Dude, okay, if Viktor Orban single-handedly takes down the WEF, I'm moving to Hungary.
I already want to move to Hungary. My family's originally from there. Like that's my home. I'm so proud of them.
Commie. No, I'm joking.
But we fought the commies. What do you mean?
Based? Yo,
the
based.
the Hungarian Revolution?
I was- it was- it was,
1956?
Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but it was a joke.
I know. I'm just explaining.
No, you
our
didn't
cool
know that.
history. No, I. What are you? Where are you from?
Are
Probably, like,
we
French
really
or
doing
something.
this right now? Like,
Say I'm French.
Probably. You're from like Minnesota.
No.
It's near Canada.
No, I'm not. I'm not French.
people speak
I
English
have.
there,
It's
too.
my ancestry is all Northern European.
You're British.
No,
You're British?
Northern Europe, like Sweden, Norway, that area.
Ah, you're a
Nordic.
socialist.
Hey,
Yes,
see.
I am.
North
You're
Star.
dang right I am. Eat the rich, god dang it!
I'm wondering why you put your actual name on your YouTube channel.
Did
I
you
would
mean
like-
to share your screen, or is this
Yes,
like?
I did. I would
Okay,
like
okay.
to-
I wasn't sure. You didn't
I
say
would-
anything about it.
Well, it would take too long, so I figured I'd just do it and see what happens. So this is part of the reason why I'm most likely supporting Donald. Actually, I'm going to be supporting Donald Trump.
Can fact check him in real time. Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact checking because it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
School issue to be honest.
We want to remind the audience to.
Yeah. So someone who
I just want that back.
yeah,
do too, dude.
that Donald Trump energy is what we need back in the White House in the Oval Office, and
Yeah.
that should be the face of the Republican Party for the next 10 years. That messaging right there.
If Trump does win in 2024, I think the like honestly, like I think Trump's second term, if he does get one, Trump will be like the biggest, probably like the biggest pain in the globalist side besides like Orban and
Yeah.
the dude in Poland, like Duda or whatever his name is. I think he'll be arguably the largest thorn in the globalist side because America, as we know, is the largest economy in the world right now. It is arguably the most powerful nation in the world, at least it used to be. And with someone like Trump at the helm, I think the WEF is in for a real tough time if Trump wins, because he has said he literally has said he will govern like a dictator, and he said if I believe he said something on the lines of like, if his laws violate the Constitution, he doesn't care. Like he said stuff similar to that, not exactly that, which we need. Like honestly, in this day and age, like I'm sick of the libertarians going, we need small government. Trump is going to expand the government. I'm like, listen, he's going to use it to fight. He's going to use it to fight back. Like using government power to fight back is a good thing. Why are you against it?
I have
Yes.
big breaking news, everyone. Joe
Big.
Biden has officially leaked his 2024 presidential campaign ad. I would like to share it right now.
Wait, really?
Wow, we didn't see this coming from 500 miles away.
All right, here we go.
Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Some people are always in a hurry. They run when they could walk,
Oh God.
race up steps when others take it slow. When Joe Biden's president, America is just going to have to keep up. He's from Scranton, but Joe Biden knows when you get knocked down, you get up off the mat.
I'm Joe Biden. Anyway.
Now that,
So there it is.
dude, I don't know, man. I think Trump's done
Complete
for,
and
man.
total endorsement.
Yes, that is the official 2024 Joe Biden campaign ad. He has officially announced his campaign for president. We see that rolling out on televisions across the country right now.
I mean, honestly, like the Republicans have no chance. Like Democrats are gonna
It's
have
over,
a 19.
guys.
Dems are gonna have a 1936 all over again.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be like the New Deal realignment all over again. Screw you, Roosevelt, you communist piece of garbage.
Well, I mean, Roosevelt's the only reason why we are having this economic problem right now, because of the Federal
Actually,
Reserve.
it's Wilson. Not even Roosevelt. It's Wilson. God, Mr. Wilson. Oh, Mr. Wilson, stop being a senile old man and letting your wife govern the country.
Yeah, really.
Question. This is why you don't. Never mind. I'm not finishing that sentence. Never mind. Nope, not gonna finish that.
It is the reason Hillary is not president. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's where you were going.
Buckeye, who is? I'll ask you this too, North Star. But Buckeye, who's your favorite president of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough choice. The obvious answer is to say like Washington or Lincoln, which is true. They are definitely up there, but I feel like we want a more interesting answer than me just saying George Washington, which is true. George Washington is my favorite president, but it's an actual like someone besides a founding father and besides Lincoln, probably Teddy Roosevelt or Eisenhower, one of the two.
Absolutely. I'll just go and tell you mine. It would be Dwight D. Eisenhower, and coming in very, very close second would be Teddy Roosevelt. But
Wow,
North
exact
Star. North Star.
I'd say mine is probably either Eisenhower. Yeah, probably Eisenhower is number one. I'd say.
Everyone
Awesome.
still likes Ike, I guess.
I remember I saw a paper on him like that described him like they said political commentators at the time saw him as like a do nothing president. Like they thought he was just some kind of generic dope who did nothing, even though he massively expanded our country's economy and kind of approved the largest infrastructure plan ever.
Yeah.
We
We wouldn't have the modern America we have today without him.
Now, granted, foreign policy, that's a little questionable, Ike.
What do you mean? He was against
Vietnam. No, I
Not
mean
that it really
like
was a big issue, but
no, I mean like him like flying spy planes over Russia, constantly getting caught, and then saying, "Oh, it was a weather balloon," even though it was obviously not a weather balloon.
that's kind of base though. Like to
To
just
be
spy
fair, that
on
is
the
something
enemy and be like, "Oh yeah, that was a weather balloon."
To be
It's
fair,
common
I would do the
Eisenhower
same thing.
W's
I
right
would do
there.
the exact same thing. I'd be
To
like,
be fair.
"Oh."
My bad.
I'd be like, sorry, man. That's just my weaponized weather balloon I built. My jet-powered weaponized weather balloon. It's for measuring tornadoes.
Yes.
Don't mind me.
Because back then in the 1950s we had weather balloons.
Yeah, and we also were able to have tornadoes in the desert parts of Russia near in Central Asia. That definitely was able to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We have
Right,
to be very
oh, yeah.
careful.
Those massive tornadoes. What is wrong with us?
Yeah, I don't know.
We start off competent like we're like a radio show, and then we just slowly drift off course and become crackheads.
Yeah, true. We're gonna end the stream at 9 because at 9:15, quick little shout out. If anyone's on Twitter, Al Carbo, if you know who that is, and Gen Z Patriot, two great political analysts. I don't know what I was gonna say there. Two great political minds will be debating actually religion. They will be debating Catholicism and Mormonism in a Twitter space, which I personally am looking forward to. So 9:15 on Twitter. Be sure to listen in. But how should we wrap this stream up? I'm just trying to think.
We should. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wow,
I got
thanks.
nothing.
I'm not gonna lie, this like trio. I was gonna say something else, but this trio is a pretty solid trio for this show. I think
It is.
personally.
I agree.
This is
yeah.
this is the best this is the best trio in the history of trios ever.
The Rust Belt is sending their best.
Well, part of the Rust Belt.
You're
Part of
pretty
it.
close, I think.
2 states
mean-
over, but yes.
If you were in Pennsylvania, you'd be in West Virginia, you'd be in the Rust Belt technically. So
I'm very close to it, so we can just consider myself.
yeah,
in it.
you're close enough. You're an honorary Rust Belt resident.
Okay, thank you.
Because as soon as you cross the border from Pennsylvania to Maryland, it's just you're not Rust Belt anymore.
Well, I to be frank, I did used to live in Pennsylvania, so does that count?
Oh, then yeah, that counts.
Okay, former
I didn't
Rust
know you
Belt
lived in
then.
Pennsylvania.
What made you
Yeah.
go to Maryland?
Because Pennsylvania.
What a
got tagged.
downgrade!
Well, no, think we had Hogan, and well, they had Hogan, we had Wolf. I mean, naturally, you'd want to move where there's a Republican. But
But
Yeah.
like
Red Ohio,
they
I-
were, but they
Red
were like
Ohio,
the
I
same
did the
person.
default dance in my room. Just now. Sorry.
yeah, he did it while he didn't know his mic was on. I heard the whole thing.
I did too. I gotta say, like,
If I had a
political
camera, I would
career's
turn it
done.
on and do it, but unfortunately,
Your political
I don't.
career's done, man. I don't
Yeah,
think
there's-
you're gonna
I'm
recover
gonna
from
leak. I'm gonna leak this channel to the Democrats and watch them fume over it.
that. Buckeye politics is a danger to our democracy.
Based?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but like they always act like, oh, this guy's a danger to our democracy, and I'm like, oh, that's a good thing. And I'm like, wait, isn't that a good thing technically?
That's
now
not making me
granted,
like him.
now granted, feds, you didn't hear that.
Yeah, we love democracy.
Do we think?
Democracy never has any flaws. American democracy and Brazilian democracy obviously have no flaws whatsoever. There is nothing wrong that ever has happened in the history of ever. Everything was always flawless. 1960 was perfectly fine. I'm gonna get TOS'd for this. Actually, I'm not.
I am because you're saying it on my stream.
I mean, how many
You have
times
to
have we
private
skirted
this.
around the TOS here?
I don't know how. Anonymous Q.
Oh my goodness. Do we think Mike DeWine's political career is over after what happened in East Palestine and his handling of it?
No. I mean, his approval rating definitely took a big hit, but I mean, I don't know. He's not gonna run for anything after this. Like, a few people who are really involved in politics or near East Palestine will probably hate him, but to be quite frank, I think the vast majority of the state has kind of moved on from East Palestine, which is unfortunate, and it's stupid that people are just NPCs. It gets out of the news cycle and they completely forget about it. Like at school, at least where I live, like it was a huge issue for like the first few weeks, but then the last week or so, like I haven't heard anyone talk about it.
I know at school, I know in my classes, like nobody even knew what was going on. Like the truth is like I'm very concerned for when our generation is like fully grown up and fully able to vote. Like,
it's gonna be over.
It's gonna be over because the truth is like these kids are so like I'm gonna be honest here. A lot of these kids are brain dead. Like they're over here doing their TikTok dances. They're over here showing off in gym class while playing sports, thinking they're just the greatest thing ever. Which nothing wrong with playing sports, but it's like at the end of the day, you're not gonna go to a professional sports league more than likely. You're not gonna be you're not gonna be the next LeBron James. You're not gonna be Tom Brady. You're not gonna be Barry Bonds. Like. You're gonna have to pursue something realistic.
Didn't Barry Bonds use steroids?
He did, but he was still good without
comments right now.
Screw the comments; they're stupid.
Get a camera just to do the gritty. Red Ohio. After the stream's over, I'll do the gritty, record it on my phone, and I'll send it to you.
I would like to see that as well.
Okay,
I got you.
That's something we need to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish I wish young men would focus.
When I run for governor, we gotta post that all over.
No.
It'll be
you
used in
post it
attack
in your
ads.
section in your YouTube channel.
What the heck?
All right, so I think we're done. We're gonna end the stream here. I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you both guests for coming on. I had a lot of fun talking with you guys. We got to do this again, and we will. Keep an eye out for episode 17 with the brand new background, or really just the background and the thumbnail are different, but we have the intro. We're trying to get more professional because I seriously enjoy doing this show. I think it's pretty fun, and I love how we laugh when we say we're going to be more professional.
Absolutely.
But like, I mean, with the aesthetic, obviously,
would it really be
the
the
conversations?
Same if we
No,
weren't?
but.
Would it really be the same if we weren't a bunch of crackheads by like the final 30 minutes? Of
Exactly. That's why.
The final
it's
30
the
minutes of
Rust
the
Belt Boys podcast. Because in the Rust Belt, after a while, you're with the boys, you get a little sus. But that's okay.
You bring the powder out.
Yeah. We are big enjoyers of sugar up here.
Yes.
Sugar cookies.
No,
obviously.
I got you, bro. Yep, definitely.
All right. So thank you all for watching. Have a great evening, and I'll see you later.
I have dementia.